Okay, this is going to be controversial, but please don't hate on me. Hello guys, welcome back to New Who HQ. I am Matt, and today I'm doing probably my biggest ever ranking ever on this channel. I am ranking all 13 seasons, all seasons from New Who, from worst to best. We are in the run up to May. We want May to come very, very quickly, where every single episode of Ncuti Gatwa's tenure will be ranked on this channel, so please get ready for that. But firstly, let's go through all of the seasons before that and rank them from bottom to top, starting off from 13 to number 1. This is all an opinion, and everyone will have different opinions, so let's just stop waffling and get in. Number 13. Series 13. The most recent and the finale of Jodie Whittaker's tenure as the Doctor. Now this is quite an obvious one because I think a lot of people put this at the bottom, and I don't think it's a problem with Whittaker as such. I think Flux is a little bit of a wibbly wobbly mess for the main reason that it was poorly written. I think for me, looking at it, a lot of things were set up and it wasn't really executed to the best that they could have done it. And I think War of the Sontarans and Village of the Angels are quite good episodes, but overall as a season and how it fits in with the overall arc, I'm not really liking it. For that reason, it's at the bottom. I'm sorry. Okay, let's move up then to number 12. Series 11. Now, I respect what Series 11 is trying to do here. We are in a completely new era, new showrunner after we've had Moffat and the last two Doctors. This felt like a new time for Doctor Who, first female Doctor. There was a lot of riding on this series, and I think for me it wasn't such a mess as such, it was just, it doesn't really hold up for me as very iconic. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like some of these episodes, but there are no episodes in this series that are amazing, they're just good. You know, you had stuff like Kablam, Rosa, the Witchfinders, which aren't bad episodes. They were just, you know, that was the best of the bunch, and there were no returning monsters in this either, and it felt, you know, things were done differently. So I admired Chibnall and I admired the show for going down this route. It just didn't sit very well for me and didn't catch what the show was for me. But shout out for using different locations instead of always being in London. Sheffield is different, and as someone who is currently living in the north, it's nice to have a little bit of northern representation, even though I'm from the south anyway, so I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, number 11, Series 12. Yes, this was the second series of Jodie Whittaker, and it is her best season in my opinion. And I do feel bad for putting Whittaker's all of her seasons like near the bottom, but at the same time, I quite like this series with introducing the fugitive Doctor. I think that's a really interesting concept, and I really like Jo Martin in the part. She didn't get enough time for me to for her to plump this series up the list, but I think what she does is pretty solid. The Timeless Child thing, I actually don't mind, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate just for saying that, but I generally don't mind the Timeless Child. It brings a different dimension to Doctor Who. I am someone who is interested about learning about the Doctor's past. Some people say they don't care about the Doctor's past, they just want to have adventures. Don't give a crap what they say. I like to know about the Doctor's past, and I think it's very, very interesting. And okay, was this the best route to go around? That's debatable, but it brings something different. It brings a new mystery to the Doctor, and the Doctor's all about mystery, so I mean, you could put it as a mystery because Chibnall has written it very, very poorly, but we're just splitting hairs now. I think it's okay. I really like the introduction of the Master here again as well. Sacha Dhawan, really like him. So there's a lot more iconic characters that come into this series compared to Series 11 and Series 13, which for me does plumb this above them too. But yeah, Jodie Whittaker's era isn't bad, okay? There's just better. Number 10, Series 9. This was Peter Capaldi's second season. See, this is where I sort of get into the I find it difficult to be too mean to it, because I feel like this series has good episodes, it just isn't my cup of tea. I like Before the Flood and Under the Lake. I feel like that two-parter is probably one of my favourite two-parters there is. I think it's really, really mysterious, really quite thrilling and tense, so I really like that. I just feel like there's not a lot of standalone stories and they're all sort of linked with, you know, with the Zygons. I'm not a massive fan of the Zygons. You know, the woman who lived, the girl who died, not really caring about that story too much. Don't get me wrong, Missy is quite iconic here, but she's iconic in other bits of Peter Capaldi's era, which makes this the worst series for me in Peter Capaldi. But I think Capaldi really, really shines here. I don't think he's at his best, but he's better, and he's on that journey of development, which for me I really, really like. And if we're ranking Doctors here about his development in his era, then this would be higher. Yeah, there's still a lot more Capaldis in this list, so Capaldi fans, don't shout at me just yet. Now, I know some people are not going to be happy with this, but at number 9 I put Series 5, which is Matt Smith's first season. Look, I can admire, and I'll give it to people where they like this season. I get why people like this season. This is a different feel to David Tennant after his very, very successful era, while still feeling like Doctor Who, which I feel like Series 11 didn't do. It felt different, but it almost didn't feel like Doctor Who because it felt that different. With Series 5, I can admire that even though it feels different, it still has a Doctor Who feel, so I can respect it for that. Matt Smith and Amy Pond's story I do really, really like. It gives off a magical vibe, and how they progress throughout the series and throughout his tenure overall, I do really, really like. But I don't like this series very much at all. It has got some absolute stinkers, and I feel like I'm very, very aware that Vincent and the Doctor is in this series, and that's one of the most beloved episodes ever. And it is a good episode, but it's just one episode. From honestly, looking at the list, there's not much else that's like amazing here. Time of the Angels, that two-parter, don't really care for that. I think it's okay, but I mean, if it's ever trying to like recapture the sort of audiences and the sort of success that Blink had, it's never going to go anywhere near a copied version of that. Obviously, it was his own fresh idea. I get that, and they were doing something different with the Angels, but no, it didn't really work. So there's just something off for me. And maybe it is Matt Smith. Maybe I don't think Matt Smith is at his best here at all. He's still quite young. He's still trying to get himself into the role. Maybe he doesn't really feel like the Doctor in this series. And the 11th Hour, honestly, it's not as strong as people say it is. I feel like it is probably the most overrated opening episode ever. Sorry, that's going to annoy more people. But generally, I do. I feel like everyone thinks it's fantastic, and I think it's all right. Okay then, let's move up to number 8. Series 10. Yes, oh yes. For me, this is Capaldi's performance and Bill as a character. And for characters to plump up a season in itself shows how strong they are. But they both carry this. Nardole is... I feel like if it was just Nardole and the Doctor, I wouldn't like him. But he bounces off the Doctor with his sort of... with his personality as he is, the Doctor's. And how Bill is, how inquisitive she is about everything. And those three together, Nardole, I feel like I can deal with him. Now, I'm not a fan of Matt Lucas anyway, but in this, with them two characters, it's dealable. I can deal with it. But the Monk 3-parter, I do really, really like that. I love the finale. This was obviously Capaldi's regeneration was in this series, but overall, you know, the bringing Missy and sort of John Sim as well. I mean, this, you know, turning down your pain so they can't hear you screaming. Oh my gosh, it is so, so dark. And I feel like this really does show Capaldi's dark side. I mean, his era was the darkest, and this finale really does show that. Okay, let's move up then to number 7, which, ironically, is Series 7. Honestly, I feel like this is probably higher than a lot of people would put it, because Series 7 is quite hated. I'd say one of the reasons was because it's split up. We've got Series 7A and Series 7B. Clara I have issues with. I'm not going to get into them issues, but they start off with her introduction. I'm not really a fan of her, to be honest with you. But Amy and Rory, Angels Take Manhattan, their final story is good. I love it. It's not good for them, but it's a nice ending. I think it's truly an emotional roller coaster. Again, including the Angels, including River Song, who I adore. This is a fantastic finale for them. You know, we've got The Bells of St. John, The Power of Three. They are very underrated episodes. Again, not much happens in them, but I feel like it's just the feel. Matt Smith feels like the Doctor at this point. We've had time with him, and as I said with Series 5, he felt a little bit almost, not immature, but not a little bit underdone with him with the Doctor. Here is in full swing, loving his costume, loving his interaction. He has so much more confidence within him, and that makes the feel and sort of his vibe really stick, and I feel like he cements himself as his version of the Doctor here, and I really do like that. And he has to deal with, you know, meeting Clara or saying goodbye to Amy and Rory, so he goes on an emotional roller coaster, and we sort of see, you know, his character development shining through here as well. So yeah, I really do like Series 7, and for so much hate that it gets, I don't really know why. Okay, then let's move up to number 6. Series 2. Yes, David Tennant's first series as the Doctor. This is a sort of series where it's very, very, very good at times and very, very, very rough at other times. It's just as simple as that. This series has honestly some of the best stories that New Who has produced, but equally in the same series has definitely the worst episodes produced in New Who. So where do you put it? You put it about midway, basically. What do I really, really like about this series? So you got The Impossible Planet, The Satan Pit, The Girl in the Fireplace, Tooth and Claw, School Reunion as well. This has some pretty solid episodes, and I'm not saying they're all fantastic, but they are good hold-up ones, and they work. They're very, very different from each other, which makes them quite iconic to the series, but some, like The Impossible Planet and Satan Pit, are very, very good, and they tell such a good story, the biblical and the scientific facts and that sort of battle with the devil. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna admit it now, I am a Love and Monsters fan. I'm sorry to say, everyone, but I do like Love and Monsters. I think it's really, really good. I think I didn't used to like it, but now I've watched it, I've understood it, I've heard what other people's thoughts, so I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I think it's still pretty hated, but I feel like slowly we're getting into that sort of out of hating Love and Monsters era. The Idiot's Lantern, Fear Her, oh gosh, even New Earth, the first episode, don't really like them at all. Okay, let's move up then to number 5, and this is going to probably shock a lot of people, but Series 1. Yeah, this is probably a lot higher than people will think. I think I respect Series 1 for, it was coming in at 2005 when the show had been on hiatus for a very, very long time. You had to try and recapture that audience, you had to try and get in new viewers, and you had to try and bring back your old viewers and let them know this is very much the same show. And I'm not saying that Series 1 brought back the popularity the Doctor Who had and has now, or had sort of at its popularity time. That's probably obviously more like David Tennant, and then obviously with Matt Smith, you've got more American viewers joining. But this still recaptured that first array of fans to then put it up a level to, newer people. But you had to get the old people on side first. And this is what Series 1 does very, very well. Very, very low budget. CGI is exceptionally poor, but I tell you what, it's iconic. This is what this series does. You had The End of the World, like the tree people and all them sort of designs, and Cassandra, who's iconic. I like Rosa a lot. I didn't mention it in my Series 2 review, but I don't like Tennant and Rose as a duo. I think Rose blossoms here with Eccleston because they've got a purely platonic relationship. I love how they roll off each other. They're really good. Eccleston's hit and miss with me. I like some of his performances. I feel like he can be a very good actor, but I feel like at other times he's quite lazy, quite sluggish. It feels a little bit wooden, his acting. Feels a little bit sort of amateur acting, sorry. I'm not saying I could do a better job, but it's just what I know. I mean, he went to the same university as me, so I don't dislike him. Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. I really like Father's Day as well. I feel like people are now saying it's overrated, but I think it still pretty holds up very, very well. So, and yes, overall it's very, very cheesy in this series, and it wouldn't hold up very well today, but don't forget about this series, because Rose is a very, very good opening episode, and the opening episode is the most important for target audience and to get people watching again, and it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Okay then, let's move up then to number 4, Series 6. This is Matt Smith's strongest season. I feel like this is probably due to the people they had around them. Amy and Rory are in full swing here as companions. I feel like the Doctor he's not my favourite here, but he's better than he was in Series 5. And I really do like River as well. I mean, if you put River in any story, it's going to be kind of iconic. But no, I feel like this fairy tale storytelling, but this storytelling in general, this is how Doctor Who should be done, and it's in a new, fresh way, and I like it. This is why it's better than Series 5 and it's better than Series 7, because of the storytelling. This has some stinker episodes as well, the Almost People and the Rebel Flesh, don't even get me started on that. But Night Terrors, The Girl Who Waited, even Closing Time, The God Complex, Let's Kill Hitler. Honestly, even The Doctor's Wife, The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon, the finale. This is where it has a good start, good finish, a lot of very, very good episodes, and there's a couple that sort of let them down. Like The Curse of the Black Spot isn't a bad episode, it just does nothing for me, it's a filler, and I'm like, nah, I'm not a big fan of Pirates and Nova. It's not bad, it's just okay. So, I really like Series 6. I don't actually think people like it as much as I thought they would. I feel like it's quite underrated. Okay, let's move up then to number 3. Series 8. Yeah. Peter Capaldi's first season, I love. And obviously I was mentioning a lot about Matt Smith then. This was straight after Matt Smith with the sort of goofy Doctor, which I wasn't too keen on. That's why I'm not, I like Matt Smith quite a bit, but he's nowhere near Capaldi level. And obviously the two very, very different Doctors, but from what I like from a Doctor, Capaldi brings it to me in so many ways. And in Series 8, I really, really like him. Some of his stories, honestly, like people say that Series 8 is too dark. If you've not seen Robot of Sherwood, that's literally like a feel-good 45-minute with Robin Hood. Like, how's that dark? But no, I love the reveal of Missy as the Master. I love her build-up throughout the series. Some of the stories here are great. I love dark, gritty stories. Flatline, I think, is quite scary, but also kind of iconic with a smaller version of the TARDIS. You've got Time Heist, you've got The Caretaker, you've got Listen. Listen is such a hard story to follow, but it's so, it feels very mythological, it feels very complicated, it feels important. And Capaldi's speeches and his one-liners make this series so good. It's the 3rd best series and it's so good. Okay, we've got 2 left to rank, and at number 2 is Series 4. This is probably going to shock a few people, because normally when it's left between, Series 4 and the other one, which I'm sure you know which one it is, it's normally Series 4 number 1, and I do like Series 4 a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of Donna as other people, don't get me wrong, I think she's iconic, I absolutely love her, but she's not the best companion at all. And I'm going to get into my best companion in a minute. This has some fantastic stories, and oh my gosh, it is a brilliant series. David Tennant, his spiky hair. No, but David Tennant, this is probably his best performances in Series 4. I do really like him. I love the Donna. I do like the relationship between him and Donna. I do really like their relationship. The finale is massive. It's a classic Russell T Davies finale where he's blowing everything up. I do really like the Vashta Narada, the 2-parter of that. Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, Midnight, The Unicorn and the Wasp. Oh my goodness. There is so much here that is, these are all amazing episodes. These aren't just good, they're all amazing and they're iconic, so I absolutely love them. But it's not my number 1. Because the best series of New Who is Series 3, which is David Tennant's 2nd series, and Martha Jones. Right, Martha Jones is the best companion from New Who. Don't want to hear any arguments. No, I really like this series. I feel like people will be quite shocked because it has some real stinkers in it, which I kind of agree with, like the Lazarus Experiment and 42, which people think is bad. I actually quite like it, I won't lie. I wouldn't say they're amazing episodes, but they sort of, this series really feels like Doctor Who. I love Smith and Jones. I think it's a fantastic opener for Martha. The Shakespeare Code, Gridlock, I think are pretty solid episodes. They're quite fun, especially the Shakespeare Code. I really like that. But of course, you've got Family of Blood, Human Nature, Blink, Utopia, and that 3-parter. The way this series ends and the build-up, this makes it the best series. They are truly iconic episodes. Blink is so good, and yeah, everything about this is so, so good. But I love the feel about it, and this feels like a proper low-budget, great show with Martha in her red jacket, David Tennant running around in his long jacket, Captain Jack coming back in Utopia, love that as well. This has a solid finale, solid opener, solid episodes in between. Not all fantastic, but they hold up very, very well. So there we go, that's my ranking. What do you think? My camera's about to die, so I'll wrap this up pretty quickly. If you're new to the channel, please just subscribe and give this video a like. I'm absolutely knackered after that. I've been going on for about 35 minutes. So I'm going to have a drink. But let me know what your thoughts are. Keep it nice in the comments and I'll see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.